Well, that was a great edutainment break to bring us into the next session. Thanks, Rafael, for your terrific music. In this next couple of talks, we're going to be looking at some tools for producing these kinds of quality videos and for music in general that sort of help us do things on the cheap. So Rafael Morel from Maynooth University is our first speaker. Take it away, Rafael.
Thanks, Emil and Dennis. Let's hope this works. I tried to do some checking, but let's see if everybody can hear me, because I'm gonna be playing things in Logic Pro. So okay, I'm gonna talk a little bit about how to make high quality music recordings on the cheap. So there's a few caveats there. When I say high quality, I mean something that I'm happy with. So that could be high quality to me, but it may not be the highest of qualities. So take that with a pinch of salt. And when I say on the cheap, I will give an idea of how you can do it for free. I did spend a little bit to get the equipment that I have today, but I will talk about how you can get them for cheap. So that's what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about some free audio recording equipment and software, and some not so expensive audio recording equipment and software. And then if I have time, I'll be able to show some strategies on how to improve vocals in a recording. So I'm going to talk about recording strategies, mixing strategies, pitch correction, and I do have a few examples on pitch correction here. And if I have time, I'll talk a little bit about mastering and final touches, but only if I have time. So as a disclaimer, I'm not a professional recording engineer. I'm not a professional mixing engineer. Everything that I'll talk about here are things that work for me. And I'm very much looking forward to hearing your thoughts on what works for you. Okay. Right. So if you want to do some professional audio recording and you want to go to a studio that will look a little bit like this, can you guess how much it would be to actually build something like this? So what are we looking at here in terms of equipment? We see monitor, speakers. These are not cheap. We see subwoofers. We see massive mixing desks. We see digital mixing desks. We see preamplifiers or preamps, lots of cables, lots of equipment. So let's talk a little bit about these things. So if you want to build a professional studio, or if you want to get a professional home studio, you want to buy an audio interface, and that can range from $1,000 to $5,000. I did some research on a couple of websites that sell music equipment before writing this. So I saw professional ones ranging from $1,000 to $5,000. If you want a preamp, and there's very good preamps for microphones that make the voice sound so good, and that's what they use in those professional studios. They can range up to $9,000. You need audio monitors, $2,000 to $6,000 for professional ones. You may need a MIDI controller. 500 quid might get you one, up to 2,000. You need a mixing desk. You need headphones. The ones that I have here, I paid €50 for them, so for $50 for them. But you can get headphones, professional ones, up to $4,000. You need a condenser mic. The one that I have here that you can see in the screen, I paid €80 for it. But you can pay up to $10,000 for a condenser mic, depending on the brand that you're using. You need a DAW or a digital audio workstation. The cheapest ones that are professional grade are about $200. That's the one that I use, called Logic Pro. But they can go up to $2,500 depending on what you're using. And of course, what digital studios do today, they look at plugins or software. And in that, when we talk about plugins, the sky is the limit for the amount of money that you can spend. So you can buy compressors that cost $1,000. You can buy limiters. You can buy EQ, graphic EQs, and so on. You can buy bundles, and just you can spend as much as you're willing to spend on those. So I'd say total for a professional building a professional home studio, you would be talking at least $7,000, but up to $50,000 or more. And that's not factoring in microphones for instruments, cables, mic stands, chairs, walls, and everything else. Okay. What if you want to do it free? Well, we do have free alternatives. If you have a laptop, you can use your inbuilt laptop microphone. It's not the best idea. It's not a very good idea at all. But you can get away with creating some recordings using that. I have done that before. It's very difficult to get very clear sound. That's because the preamp that is included in the sound card in your computer doesn't really do you justice, and it basically just boosts some frequencies that are not in the end that you want to boost. But anyway, you can use that. You can use your earphones, or the earphones that you have for your mobile phone. You can use them as headphones, and you can use a free digital audio workstation, for example, Audacity. And this is a screenshot of Audacity. It's available for Windows, Mac, and Linux, so you can download that. That's free. It is really good, actually, for a free DAW. You can do lots of things with it. There's lots of built-in plugins with Audacity that you can use: compressors, limiters, reverb, delay, many digital plugins that are already available with Audacity. If you have a Mac, it comes with GarageBand pre-installed. And what I'm going to demonstrate here today, I'm going to use Logic Pro, which is the paid version of GarageBand. Okay. Again, this is not factoring in owning a laptop and earphones, but if you do have a laptop, if you do have earphones, this is a free alternative. What about the not so expensive alternative? So this is the setup that I currently have, and it's not so expensive comparing to spending $7,000 to $50,000 plus on equipment. So the audio interface that I have is called a Focusrite Scarlett 2i2, and this is what it looks like. I'm actually looking at it right now. I just can't show you because if I do, you won't be able to hear me anymore. But this is the one that I'm using at the moment. About $160, you can buy one. It has a preamplifier inbuilt. Okay, you can. The mic that I'm using is called a Behringer B1. I paid €80 for it. I think I was looking at the price nowadays. I think it's $100. It's really good. It comes in it comes in this little case, and it comes with foam to actually put on top of the mic. I hope you can see my camera there. So that's to help with some sounds that start with letter P or B. They can be quite aggressive and they can sound weird in the mic. But I'm not using that one because I do have a pop filter, which is this. I hope you can see this right now. So if I speak in the mic without a pop filter, you might hear my P's very weirdly, and you might hear some air being blown into the mic. But when you do have a pop filter, there you go. When you have a pop filter, things are a little bit better. This one came with another mic that I bought that had an inbuilt preamp, what's called a toner mic. I think I paid €100 on Amazon for it. But I like to use this pop filter rather than the foam, but it doesn't matter. You can use that foam as well. The other recording software that I use, the DAW that I use, is called Logic Pro, and you can buy it. That's for a Mac, and you can buy it for $200. But also any DAW that is available nowadays is great. You can use all of them. They have everything that you need to do. So I was talking to a friend of mine who owns a studio, and I asked him which one is the best DAW, and he said the best DAW is the one you know how to use. So nowadays, every DAW will do everything you need. So there's Logic Pro, there's Pro Tools, there's Sonar, there's Cubase, FL Studio. There's plenty of those, and they're typically in the same range of price. And voice correction software, I use Melodyne. I'm going to do a demonstration of Melodyne. I do have an editor version of Melodyne because I was able to get a grant for it. However, you can get it for free for 30 days. So I actually did that at the start. I had all my songs recorded, and then I started the trial on Melodyne, did all the pitch correction that I needed to do for 10 songs. But if you want to buy it, the cheapest version of Melodyne, it's $100, and that can do everything that I'm going to show you today. So total about $500, and that's not really factoring in owning a laptop, owning earphones. These headphones, as I mentioned before, I got them for $50, and you need a jack adapter to go in here in the Focusrite Scarlett, and I paid $3 for that. And this is how Logic Pro looks like and what Melodyne looks like, but I'm going to give you a demonstration now. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some strategies on how to improve vocals in a recording. I'll touch on recording strategies. Then I'll talk about mixing strategies, pitch correction if I have time, mastering, or final touches. Okay, I'll demonstrate those using Logic Pro and Melodyne. So let's hope things work now. Yes, I'm going to talk about these things. So I need to change this here, and it only works after I'm connected on Zoom. Okay, can you still hear me, Dennis? Hello, can you still hear me?
We hear you.
Perfect. And can you hear the, let's hope this is not gonna blast your ears. Can you hear the song here?
I've been preparing
Perfect. So that's working. Okay. So first thing, positioning behind the mic. And this is something that I learned with a friend of mine that had a studio when I was recording my first CD years ago, about 10 years ago. So typically, sometimes when I started singing in the studio, I thought that you needed to be very close to the mic. But if I am very close to the mic, you might see that it sounds really weird. It kind of sounds bad. So you want to keep a distance from the mic, especially these condenser mics. They do have dynamic range. So if you talk far away, you can tell the difference when I'm talking far away versus when I'm talking close, and you can actually feel that. So a nice thing to do is to work with these dynamics when you're singing in the mic. So so this song that you just heard, that was the video for the R Inferno song about things that you should not do with R. I'm gonna sing I sang the first verse here. So today is the day. Can you hear it here? Today is the day. I've been preparing for this test for so long. So how I sang that, I was a bit closer to the mic than further away. So because if you sing close to the mic, it has a velvety type of voice, which is rich in low and mid tones. So it's very nice to sing like this. But when you want to do something a little bit more punchy and with power, you want to sing further away. And of course, and when you're doing the high notes in the chorus that you need to actually put some air pressure into it and sing with your diaphragm, what you want to do is veer your face away from the mic as you do the sound. So instead of saying, I'm just going to lower my vocal. There we go, a little bit. So instead of saying, cause I like, what was that? Cause I like to view, cause I like to view. So that's kind of screaming directed at the mic. So what you want to do is, instead of going back, which is what people do live with the dynamics, what you want to do is just put your face a little bit to the side, because that's not going to make the punch so hard that's going to clip. So you're going to say, cause I like to view my, so you can see that it alleviates a little bit of the punch, but at the same time, it doesn't lose the dynamic range. So let me just show you an example here of singing very close to the mic with that velvety sound. And today is the day I've been preparing for this test for so long. And now the same line sung with a bit more punch, a bit more power, and exploring the dynamic range far away from the mic. Today is the day I've been preparing for this test for so long. Right? So that's about positioning behind the mic and looking at volume and dynamics. And one thing that you can see here is if I turn off all of the plugins that I have here, especially the compressor, you can't really hear anything. So let me just play this here. Today is the day I've been preparing for this test for so I kind of have to pump up the volume here really loud, but that's not what you want to do most of the time. So what you want to do here is use some plugins. So what I'm using is a compressor, delay, reverb, exciter, and some EQ. So the thing, what I would suggest you do is you play with the EQ to see what sounds best for your own voice. What I have here is a little bit of more high frequencies to give it more shine. I'm having a low pass filter here. I'm increasing a little bit in the mid range, and I kind of have some search and destroy technique where I'm removing some AL frequency. So the way you do this, you just increase them really loud and try to listen for bad sounds and where they're hurting everything. So you just cut them back just a little bit. So this is what works for my voice. It might not work for your voice. So what I would suggest is have a look at what works for your own voice. I do like to include some exciter, some reverb, and some delay, but the most important one that I do here is the compressor. So what the compressor is going to do, you're going to find the threshold in terms of dB. So in this case here, I'm using -25. Whenever my vocals go beyond that, it's going to be compressed with some speed and at some ratio. So that's what ratio, attack, and release are doing here. There is a YouTube channel called In the Mix, which I really would suggest I would incentivize you to go to. His name is Michael. He's a professional audio engineer, and he's really good at explaining these concepts. So there's a 25-minute long video about compression and how compression works. So this is just what works for my voice. One thing that he says in the channel is that you don't use a preset. You just use whatever works for you. But this is what makes everything sound much better. Today is the day I've been preparing, and so on and so forth. Another thing that I like to do that I think makes the recordings really nice is that I like to use harmonies, and I like to use a stereo panning and use of doubles. So I'm going to show you in my chorus, you can see here, I don't have only one voice. I have six. I have six voices for the chorus. I'm going to remove 5 of them and only leave the first one. So this is what the song would sound like with only one. Now I'm going to make use of the double. So what I'm going to do is I re-recorded the same line twice, and I'm going to pan one of them 38% to the right and the other 38 to the left. Now check the difference now. So much more body and much more. It's kind of you hear the voice coming from both sides that makes it fuller. But what makes it even fuller is you do it again, and you do it again, and you pan it even further down, left and right. So now here we're looking at 6 voices. So comparing again with just one voice in the center. And all the voices. So much fuller, and you can hear that those voices in the back making it sound even fuller and richer. So that's what I like to do. I like to do some doubles and some stereo panning, playing with the stereo that makes the sound fuller and more an ambient sound. And you can visualize maybe a choir singing around you and so on. The same thing with harmonies. So in the end here, there's ooh. So this is just without any harmony. And this is with a simple harmony, a third, done 1 octave above. And then it makes it sound fuller, richer. That's the idea. And here, and you can see I have a backing track that I downloaded, but sometimes when there's no backing track available and you have to do it, or when you're writing a new song, you do have to play everything yourself. So that makes it very important to try and marry your voice with the music and not the other way around. So you need to think about whether you want your voice to appear right in the front or whether you want it to blend. It's all about what you would like to present. If you want more clarity, if you want to appear in the front like in a pop song, then by all means do that. Or if you want it more blended, if it's a rock and roll song where you want your voice to be kind of confused with the guitar, sometimes they do that, you can do that as well. Right, so now let's talk about pitch correction. So let's open Melodyne. So I realize that I have to open Melodyne, otherwise you won't be able to hear. I hope you can hear now. Open. Now, tell me if you can hear this, please.
Today is the day I've been prepared.
Yeah. So this is the original vocal line.
Today is the day I've been preparing for this test for so long.
Now you can see Melodyne tells you which note you're singing at all times, which is really cool. So it's telling me that when I say today is the day, in the word day, I'm singing in D sharp. But as you can see here, I'm not really centered in D sharp. So I'm kind of out of tune slightly. So when I say day like this, if I want to correct it, I can simply click on it and move it. And now I'm centered. I'm in tune. I'm fully in tune, 100%. And you can see here that I did a little vibrato there. I did it on purpose so I can correct it. So I can actually lower my vibrato. If I did a massive vibrato and I want to do a little bit less vibrato, I can just do this. And I can hear less intense vibrato there. So I do have this version here, and then this version which is corrected.
I'm ready.
Oh, there you go. This is the corrected version.
Today is the day I've been preparing for this test for so long.
And it can do anything you want in Melodyne. You can break a note in half, and you can move it somewhere really weird, and then it sounds weird as well.
So long.
Okay, so of course don't want to do that for this case, but you can do that as well. So just to show an idea of how incredible, how powerful this is, I have sung a vocal line that says nothing but la 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 in one note, and this is F sharp, and it's actually not really in tune. As you can see, it's not centered. So this is what it sounds like originally.
La 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 la.
And then I put a vibrato there. And so I just took that, I broke the notes, and I just rearranged them to sound like this.
La 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 la.
And even a note that I cannot reach.
La.
Oh, no, I can't do that. And then you can even make it sound robotic. So that's what lots of people in pop and in rap do. They make the voice sound robotic, you know, like Kanye West and that type. So you can hear something like this.
La 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 la.
So of course I don't recommend you do this unless you actually want to do that. But I removed it makes the voice completely artificial and it's not natural anymore. So you're removing any variation there and making it completely flat, like it's an instrument playing. But if you want to do that with your voice, that's your choice. But it depends on the song. Okay. So finally, for mastering, there's no time for me to talk about cover mastering, but the only thing I'm going to say is when you're mastering, you're going to do some general compressing, you're going to do some more EQ, you're going to add a limiter to make the volume of the song go to an acceptable level so we can listen, so you can hear things. There's some market-driven volume. Typically, they use loudness units or LUFS to measure this, so you need to do it -14 if you want to put on YouTube or Spotify, etc. But I typically put it a little bit higher than that. But the only thing that I want to say is when your song goes to the mastering stage, you need to be at least like 95-98% happy with it as it is. So mastering is just the final touch that you're going to do that. It's not going to solve any problems that needs to be solved in the mixing stage or even before in the recording stage. So that's it. I'm over my time. Thank you very much. This is my YouTube channel. So thank you very much. I'll take any questions at just this time.
Thanks, Rafael. That was really fantastic. Speaking as the guy that forgot to share screen, I really like that advice that the best tool is the one you know how to use. So thanks for that. We have time, I guess, for at least one question. We're asked, once you're good with all this software, about how long does it take you to go from the original raw recording up to the final version?
Oh, I do have, it took me about a few days to just get the EQ and the compression done for my voice. So now I have a template that I can use. I typically, if I'm recording only vocals, it's about 2 to 3 hours to record the vocals, treat the vocals, do the pitch correction, and do the final mastering. But if I need to record all the instruments, it can take, it depends on what I want to include, but it takes time. It takes time. And if you're doing this in a professional studio, you're paying by the hour. So that's the main issue. So what I like to do is I sit back and relax on a Saturday and I spend my 10 hours doing this and see what I can get from that.